Hey everyone, welcome back to Fate Stay Night Remaster with Jurgen and Jays. Hope you all had a great weekend. I was hanging out with friends. Had one of them coming to town, got to talk with him and hang out and stuff like that, and with one of my roommates too. So that's what I've been up to. I hope you all are doing well. Without further ado, we're gonna go on ahead and get into this. Actually, oh right. Last time, Saber had kind of told us that she's not like a real servant, like in the traditional sense, that she wasn't actually summoned here. She kind of summoned herself here in order for her to participate in the Holy Grail War, because that's how badly she wanted to participate in it. So let's go ahead and get going. Well, first of all, what does it mean to become a servant? Saber just said she agreed to become a servant as the price she had to pay to obtain the Holy Grail. Which means... Hold on a minute. Are servants forced to fight as the price to get what they want? No, that is incorrect. Servants are special familiars that exist only for the Holy Grail War. Right, a familiar would be just summoned just for the sake of fighting or doing whatever for any old plain Jane thing. A servant is created through special summoning magecraft, which employs the characteristics of heroic spirits. They are already heroic spirits, so there are no rules which say that servants must work because they are given something. Right. The servant system uses heroic spirits, which are guardian incarnations. It's working with something that already exists. No, neither servants nor masters have to pay a price to use this system. But I have heard that before becoming a servant, they have to pay a price to become a heroic spirit in the first place. Yeah, that is something that hasn't been answered, is how do they become a heroic spirit to begin with? Heroic spirits are guardians for humans. Even after their deaths, they work to protect humanity and prevent the destruction of the human world. Yeah, what gets to decide that they get to do that, or how they become that? And in order to become a guardian, the person must, while they are still active as a hero in their lifetime, make a deal of some kind. Like a deal like they went to the supermarket and got chicken for a discount? Or made a deal with the devil. That's the contract to become a holy spirit, a ritual to give themselves to the world after they die. The beneficiaries of this exchange become heroes, and after they've done what they wanted to do as a hero and eventually died, they repay that debt by becoming heroic spirits. So people that almost sacrifice their humanity to be a hero. Basically, in order to become a hero in life, they go into a sort of debt, which they can repay as a heroic spirit after death. Oh, excuse me. Masters like us use servants because we swoop in and make use of that debt heroic spirits trying to repay. So you're saying humans become heroes by making some sort of trade, and in return, they get used and summoned as heroic spirit familiars after their death? Which means, the deal Saber made to become a heroic spirit was for the Holy Grail. Since Saber obtained the Holy Grail in her lifetime, the price she has to pay is serving as a heroic spirit, sort of guardian, even after death. Oh, so she got the Holy Grail initially? Something in my brain isn't quite clicking here. I feel like that should be. That doesn't sound right. Saber said that her goal was the Holy Grail, but she already obtained it since she became a hero in exchange for the Holy Grail. That is not correct, Shiro. I have not yet obtained the Holy Grail. Altria. Or There's no end quote, so is that her talking? That would be weird if she was talking in third person. Ultra, King Arthur's wish to obtain the Holy Grail during their lifetime. I had to obtain the Holy Grail before I died. That is why I agreed to become a guardian after I died, if I could first obtain the Holy Grail. I had to obtain the Holy Grail before I died, that is why I agreed to become a guardian after I died. If I could first obtain the Holy Grail. Okay, I'm just gonna let the story keep on going, because it's not... My brain ain't braining this morning, I guess. As Rin explained, humans form contracts with the world to become heroes. Oh wait, no, different voice. In exchange, they receive powers beyond human ability, which they pay for by serving after death. But I did not require the world's help to become a hero. Fortunately, King Arthur required no such aid. So, Caliber and Sword and Stone wasn't like the world aiding you at all? She didn't need any help to become a hero. So Saber became a hero of her own. Yet you are here as a heroic spirit. Does that mean you asked for something else from the world after King Arthur became a hero? Yes. I required the Holy Grail in my final moments, a wish that must be granted itself, so I needed the Holy Grail. So is it just your deep need or desire for it that put you here? Or, like, why do you need it? That is why I formed a heroic spirit contract. I offered to wield my sword as a heroic spirit after my death, so long as I could lay hands upon the Holy Grail. In her last moments, she wished for the Holy Grail's miracle. Now I understand her feelings. Okay. But why would her wish... Like, why would that wish be granted? Because I feel like there's a lot of... Maybe that haven't, you know, wanted the Holy Grail specifically, but die wishing for something that... They're not here. Like, other heroes and stuff are, not just random people. The blood-soaked hill. The swords standing as gravestones. The bodies of so many knights. A lone king whose reign ended in betrayal. She didn't deserve the end she met. Even if she hadn't had a wish of her own before, she must have thought, I can't die here. This isn't the end I want, and that's why there is no shame in using the power of the Holy Grail to prolong her life. I see. So you seize the means of obtaining the Holy Grail by selling yourself after death. How is this? I mean, I guess through magic and stuff, and I'm just gonna have to have a suspension of disbelief for that bit, but... Excuse me. But Saber, your condition was obtaining the Holy Grail while you were still alive, right? Then... Yes, I could not complete my search for the Holy Grail War. Holy Grail, I keep on wanting to say add war to the end of every time I say it. While I was alive, I, King Arthur, could not obtain the Holy Grail, even at the very end. But that would nullify my contract. For the world to make a servant of me, it must provide a Holy Grail while King Arthur yet lives. And that is why... King Arthur will not die until she obtains the Holy Grail. That is to say, she can't die. Is she... Okay. So, if I'm getting this right, and it'll probably over-explain it to death over the next few pages, but is she the reason the Holy Grail War exists? Like, if it weren't for her... and this wish to, like, get the Holy Grail, and her, for whatever reason why, needing to have it while she is alive, that is why this happens. Like, the Holy Grail is simply brought back just to give Arthur a chance at getting it. And so, like in Fate Zero, granted, I don't know about previous Holy Grail wars or anything, but even in the Holy Grail war that took place before our current one, Arthur was also a part of it. So does that mean that she is a part of it every single time? Up until this point. Like, and then maybe if she... would it keep on going if she did put her hands on it? Again, this may just be speculation on my end, but... that means you're... Yes. Time for King Arthur. For me to stop. For me. Stopped at the moment of death. Time for King Arthur. What do you mean? I should have died a long time ago, but that does not fulfill the contract. Wait. So did you die or not? Time for King Arthur me stopped at the moment of my death. King Arthur was summoned as a servant right at the Sorry, I know I'm going slow. I'm just rereading a lot of these lines and kind of just processing it. King Arthur was summoned as a servant right at the moment of death, and she will die the moment she obtains the Holy Grail. Oh, so she had, like, no chance in the afterlife? Like, there's no in-between for her. It was just straight from the frying pan to the fire, so to speak. So it's not that time stopped. You're just stuck in time. It doesn't matter how many times you repeat your fight as a servant, because you obtaining the Holy Grail and fulfilling your contract is predetermined. It's predetermined that she gets it? That is correct. I will one day obtain the Holy Grail, and my contract will be fulfilled. That is why I can be summoned as a heroic spirit. In another age, the outcome of my arrangement has already been determined. Okay. This does not apply only to the Holy Grail in this town. There's more? There's not just the one? Should there be a chance of obtaining the Holy Grail, I could be summoned to any battlefield. What other chances are there? One day, I will obtain the Holy Grail, and once my wish has been granted, time, stopped for me at this moment of death, will resume its flow. Is that your wish? Like, for you to just finally die? No, because you weren't wishing for death, you were wishing for the Holy Grail when you originally died. This is getting a lot. King Arthur will meet her end. In exchange for obtaining the Holy Grail, she will become a heroic spirit. In exchange for obtaining the Holy Grail. Okay, so time will resume for you, and you'll become a heroic spirit. Finally. So you're not technically a heroic spirit right now. So for you, it's like a dream just before dying. One you just can't wake from. This Holy Grail war is just a part of that dream. And the only way for you to wake is to get a Holy Grail? I'm not... The whole, like, time-stopping thing is... I don't know. I think the main thing that's kind of tripping me up right now... other than that, like, sort of... Well, I sort of understand everything else. You believed I could not enter spirit form because Shiro is inexperienced, but that is incorrect. I cannot enter spirit form because I am still alive. Oh, so she's just straight up human. Wait, so she actually... Then that means she's actually sleeping and actually resting. But then how is she healing so proficiently? It may only be a technicality, but I'm considered a living person. Just like during the last Holy Grail War. Saber's tone is apologetic. She probably feels bad for laying the blame for her not being able to enter spirit form on my ineptitude. She didn't lay the blame, she just let us take the blame. I don't care about that. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to unpack right out of the gate. Don't falter there. But there's something I need to ask. Saber, what do you mean you're not dead? I got that you won't die until you obtain the Holy Grail, and based on how you described it, you haven't been alive since the time of King Arthur. But then, who are you right now? You're not a clone of the real person or anything, right? I think Shiro's asking the questions that I'm wanting him to ask. That is correct. Heroic spirits, when summoned, are like copies of a person's original body, but I have yet to reach that state. So versus it being a copy of your body, it's now just your actual body that you're being reincarnated in. Question mark. Until I obtain a Holy Grail, I appear as I am at the moment of my death. As Ren mentioned, King Arthur is now stopped in the Great River of Time. From where I am stranded, I jump both forward and back along the river's flow, and after I attempt to attain the Holy Grail, I return to where time stopped for me. Oh, so like, okay. I think, okay, I'm following the whole time thing. She can't, okay, maybe if I use the flow chart as an example. Okay, so say, I don't know, I'm just making something up. Say Saber died right here at the end of February 12th, right here. She simultaneously, anytime the Holy Grail War pops up in history, at any time, past, present, future, she also has to participate in that opportunity to get it. So otherwise, she then returns to this point, or like to like her death state that she was right here. So she's only going from this point over to here, back to here, to then over to wherever else she's needed for that time. Okay. I know you couldn't see my mouse when I was moving it around during that, but I was moving it back and forth across spaces. So just bear with me. That was maybe more so for my sake than for anybody else's, since the majority of y'all have, you know, gone through this before. Okay. Makes sense. Well, now they just make a whole freaking line for me instead. Yeah. Yeah, so simultaneously, she's getting summoned from where she's at. So she's being summoned here, here, here. Yeah. Can she be summoned in the past, like before the time of her, like her lifetime? Battle of Camlin, Throne of Heroes. Excuse me. Time access. Throne of Heroes. What do you mean by Throne of Heroes? Okay. I tried to diagram it all in my head. They literally pulled out a diagram for us. I'm so happy. I'm such a visual person. It helps so much. It's pretty simple once I visualize it. Yeah, it is. King Arthur is stopped in time at the moment before she dies. But that doesn't matter to the wider flow of time. It continues on, all the way to the present. Yep, and then returns back after being summoned. She jumps to whatever time she's needed, then returns to her own frozen moment in time after she completes her duty. If she managed to obtain the Holy Grail in one of the times she visits, she'll be swept back into the proper flow of time and die just as she does in the history we know. So is the Throne of Heroes kind of like the summoning pool of heroic spirits where they're supposed to be at? Removed from the time axis, cycle of reincarnation. Person A becomes a hero and dies. Maybe that's how heroic spirits work. When they die, they're transferred back to a sort of nexus where the flow of time stops. And then, when they're summoned, they are taken to that point in time, then disappear without ever returning. That's probably what is meant by heroic spirits being doubles. So, once they disappear... Oh, it's the copy. It's the copy of them that is disappearing. It is not the original that is disappearing. Okay, just the copy. Kind of like a clone made from their original cells. The heroic spirit, which completely retains the abilities and memories they had while alive, appears in this world and gains more knowledge. But it's all useless. Yeah, because this doesn't go back to the original copy, so the original is not benefiting from this whatsoever. They have no means to return to their original body and instead just disappear. And so, no matter how many times or in how many different eras they're summoned, there will never be any inconsistencies in the heroic spirit's memories. Dude, it's been 20 minutes. I thought it's been like 8. I don't know. This has been kind of blowing my mind a little bit. As you can tell, I've been trying to wrap my mind around, but then they pulled out this diagram. And I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Immediately. Sees diagram and my brain can make sense of it all. From the moment the person becomes a heroic spirit, they will never change. Even if they obtain new knowledge, they will just disappear once their role is over. What's with the Battle of Camland thing? I mean, that makes sense for Arthur, but returns to original era after... Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That's just being rerouted back to Battle of Camland. For Arthur specifically. So in that sense, Saber is not a complete servant. After each time she's summoned, she eventually returns to her own time. She goes back to that moment where she's about to die on that blood-soaked hill. Oh, so she's not even dying. Technically. Hold it. So then what? If you manage to get the Holy Grail this time, you'll return to your own time and use the Holy Grail there? So maybe the Holy Grail isn't dependent on Arthur like I had originally speculated there. But Arthur is heavily dependent upon the Holy Grail, since she pops up at any point that it exists. That's altering the past. Time traveling or intervening in a parallel world is magic. You can't do something like that. But the Holy Grail makes that possible. My contract dictates that I will become a servant if I can use the Holy Grail. Even if using the Holy Grail causes the person, Altria, to disappear, that is simply cost of me becoming a heroic spirit. Oh, because of how, like, screwy you make the timeline? It would cause your original self to disappear? Saber is so matter-of-fact about it. I mean, I'm sure she's had a lot of, you know, time to kind of think this through. Or maybe she didn't. Doesn't sound right, though. Using the Holy Grail to grant a wish is fine. But why would that mean Altria has to disappear? What the heck? Altria's going to disappear by using the Holy Grail? That's messed up. Saber, you're not going to... I see the image of the girl dying on that hill all alone. You're not going to use the Holy Grail to save yourself? What are you asking, Shiro? My only desire is to save my nation from ruin. Oh, so you'll completely, like, change the timeline. Maybe saving your nation from ruin means a world where Atria didn't exist. Or Altria, not Atria. I've seen her name as, granted, elsewhere, not in the book, not in the visual novel, as Artoria, I think. And then now it's also Altria. I can't ever remember her actual name. I just always remember Arthur. It's just a lot easier to remember. Gah! I can feel my expression tensing up. I thought I knew Saber's wish, but now my head is spinning, and I feel like throwing up. Why? Why not? It's her wish. I get it. I try to push air from my lungs and get that one word out. There is no reason I should not. I could not protect my nation. I became king to protect the nation, but then the Fire Nation attacked, and I failed to fulfill that duty. And that is when I thought, perhaps the sword and the stone was wrong to have chosen me. That's ridiculous. Why would she think that? No, that is a doubt I always carried with me. Perhaps I was never fit to be king. Perhaps there is another hero who would have been a better choice. Even in the moment I pulled that sword, there must have been a better king out there, one able to serve the nation while I could not. So, if I could use the power of the Holy Grail to redo the selection of the king, then perhaps we could. Is she saying that her nation wouldn't be destroyed if she was able to go back to that moment? ... I feel faint. I'm really angry at Saber for wishing such a ridiculous thing. The feeling passes in an instant, though. Honestly, if she wished for that and, like, say, history's rewritten, sure, she doesn't become, like, a legend, but at least in her own lifetime, even, I feel like she would have a more enjoyable life herself, since she keeps her humanity. Would she have as glorious of a life? No. But she's not having to, like, constantly numb herself and for the sake of her, like, kingdom, who just only turned against her anyway in the end. I feel like that's actually a better life for her. I probably look like a deer in headlights, so I don't know why Shiro's so upset. Isn't it obvious? Or he probably views it as, like, being overly self-sacrificial, which, to be fair, is Saber's intention. I don't think she's thinking that far ahead of, like, what my life would be like. I think she is purely coming at this from a motive of, I think the kingdom would have been better off without me. Which is sad, but I think her life would be better for it too. Saber's wish is not for herself, and on top of that, she wishes for her own elimination. That is if, you know, time were to give her a second chance and let her exist in that alternate timeline. She exists because she became king by drawing the sacred sword. Pretend that never happened means she simply wouldn't exist. I mean, she would exist, she just wouldn't be a king. She could just not draw the sword. Let's say we use the Holy Grail to grant her wish. Altria would never become king. She would just live in a timeline where she's an ordinary knight. Yeah. But then what would happen to the Saber I know? She wouldn't exist. Don't be selfish about this. This isn't... Well, I mean, you are a part of this story, but, like, in the grand scheme of Saber's life, you are a very small portion of it. Even if it's only temporary, she already exists as a heroic spirit, and if her wish is granted, she will continue on, but as a being meant only for fighting. She's already paid the price for obtaining the Holy Grail, so the Saber I know will continue existing, even if Altria never becomes king. Okay. That's fine. So she becomes a legend and she gets a normal life. She'll be cut off from past and future. She will always and only ever be the lonely knight dying on that blood-soaked hill. No, because she'll become a heroic spirit, so she'll just go to the Nexus place, Throne of Heroes, right? That's idiotic. I won't allow it. There's no hope of salvation there. Even if she was able to do it all over, and there really was a better king, and her nation did manage to last longer, and if she was herself, or if she was, what? If she was herself saved, it'd all be lies. Even if it made everyone around her, I can't just let the past 10 years she fought through be a lie. What? No, buddy. It wouldn't make it, like, a lie or invalid. Like, it's still its own timeline, but who cares if it was a quote-unquote lie? She'd be living a better life. No, you can't do that for my own selfish reasons. And me pushing my own agenda upon you and just wanting to have you around. You can't redo things. It wouldn't mean anything if you did, Saber. Shiro. Don't use the Holy Grail for something like that. You obtain the Holy Grail because you fight for it. You should use that miracle for yourself. She can use it however she wants. Excuse me. What? But I have said I will be using it for myself. I, Altria, must fulfill her duty as king. Gah! He wants you to use it for, like, a super selfish reason. I want $1 million! How did... Obviously not that. I don't think he's that shallow, but... How does she not understand? You've already done more than your duty. You've done so much already. You didn't give up even when you were feared, or even when you were betrayed. You held on to your sword until the end on that hill. So why? Why do you have to keep promises even after you die? ... Excuse me. Saber looks bewildered. Too late to regret what I said. I shouldn't have just blurted out that I've been dreaming of Saber's past. I mean, you didn't say that. You just inferred that you knew about it. A heavy silence hangs between us. I will say, I don't know. This is a complicated situation. She is very self-sacrificial, much like Shiro. And it's weird that she's like, Shiro, you need to be less selfish. And Shiro's like, you need to be less selfish. Or you need to be more selfish, not less. I don't know. I feel like even though, yes, in a sense, this is, if she were to get the Holy Grail and go through this wish and stuff, it would be self-sacrificial. But as I've already said, I think it would be better for her and just everybody involved, you know? I think Shiro just doesn't like the idea of people can't remember that you ever were so self-sacrificial. Like, you're self-sacrificing yourself to the point that you won't be remembered for, like, the best things about you. And you have to, like, passively not do those things anymore. I feel like that's a lot of where Shiro's coming from. But yeah, okay, we're gonna continue this next time. Because I'm right over 30 minutes now. What a just drop of information. Really interesting information. This has been some great expository bits. Usually this visual novel can be kind of lackluster when it comes to exposition. Did a really good job during this segment with this whole thing, and because it's also been a question that I've been asking since Saber showed up, since she seemingly wasn't summoned. It's always been a question for me as to how did she get here, and this explains all of that. Explains like the nature of, you know, why she's doing what she's doing, what her motive is. So this explains a lot around her character and different mysteries that I was trying to figure out. So really good stuff, really cool stuff. All right, I hope you guys are all doing well, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.